Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to us by one of our dear sister. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. The message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story? And I am the wife of a pastor. I do come from Ghana, where my husband is a pastor, and we have built a life around our faith and our church. I have always believed in God's power, in the strength of prayer, and in the goodness of my dear husband. But now I don't know what to believe in anymore. I feel as if I am living in a nightmare. One that began the day that we set our foot in Nigeria. When we went to Nigeria, my mom was like, "Why are you guys going there? For what reason are you going to Nigeria?" I thought that my mom, maybe she was too skeptical about everything. She said that the God that you seek is here in our country as well. Why is it everyone who wants to be a pastor has to go there? And when he comes back, he then becomes a big pastor. Why? Do you mean that God is only found in Nigeria? Is that the case? My mom was skeptical, and for a reason. Now I understand that my mom had a bad feeling about me going with my husband there. My husband had always been a man of faith, a man who preached about God's love and his importance of family. So when he suggested that we go to Nigeria for a spiritual retreat, I did not question it. I thought it was an opportunity for us to grow in the Lord, to grow closer, to deepen our faith, and to seek blessings for our future. I trusted him completely. I never even imagined that this trip would be the beginning of my darkest fears. We arrived in Nigeria and we were welcomed by one of my husband's old friends, a pastor whom he had saved with, whom he had gone to Bible school in USA, because my husband, he studied here in our country with time. That was when he got a scholarship, so he then went to America, where he ended up meeting up with this Nigerian man. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. We attended services, prayed, we shared meals with other pastors and their wives. I felt a sense of peace, of belonging, and I thought that this was exactly what we needed. But then that was when my husband started to change. He even changed when we were still there, like at the place where we were staying. My husband, one day, he did not return back home. So I was like, why is he not returning back home? By the time that he returned back home, I then found out that he was smelling like alcohol. When I confronted him about this issue, he just said that he was fine. I was too skeptical. He was already changing. He began spending more time alone, disappearing for hours without any explanation. I asked him where he was going. He would brush me off, telling me he was meeting with spiritual advisors and seeking guidance. I wanted to believe him, but there was something in his eyes that scared me. I had never seen him so very much keeping everything to himself, so distant. It felt like he was hiding something from me, something dark and terrifying. And the nightmares came. He kept on screaming. When you would be fast asleep, my husband would be screaming for no reason at all. When I would wake him up, he would say that it was because he was praying in his dreams. And I'll be like, okay, if you were praying in your dreams, then why scream? He began spending more time alone, disappearing for hours without giving me any explanation. I would ask him, "Where are you going?" He would brush me off, telling me that he was meeting with spiritual advisors, seeking guidance. I wanted to believe him, but all of a sudden, that was when he said that, "You know what, woman? A man is supposed to have his own man curve." This was when we were busy attacking each other because he was becoming too cold towards me. I said, "Now you want your own freedom, your own space." He then chose one of the empty spare bedrooms that we were not using. He said that from now on, it was going to be his own man's cave. I felt like he was hiding something from me, something dark and terrifying. One night I woke up and I found him sitting by the window. He was holding this ring. I had never seen such a ring before, but I had noticed that sometimes when you go to conferences with other wealthy pastors, you would find out that those that have the biggest congregations and have the biggest money in the room, they'll be having those thick banded golden, engraved with strange symbols that were just unnatural. That was the type of a ring that my husband was holding. I asked him about it. He just smiled, and he smiled at me and said that it was a gift that he had received while we were in Nigeria from his friend, and he placed it back onto his finger, and he was watching me as if he was becoming someone else. The following week, I found out that I was pregnant. I was overjoyed. I told my husband, because me and my husband for a very long time, we had been trying to have a child, so this was like the grace of the Lord had located me and my husband, and I thought that this was going to be our final blessings. I felt a renewed sense of hope, of purpose. I knew that he was going to be happy, but I never expected that he was going to insult me. He said that all that you think about when other women out there are busy thinking about money is becoming pregnant. What is so special about you falling pregnant, woman? That is what he said. He got into the car and he drove off. I had never cried so much in my life. For a man to tell me that all that I was thinking about was falling pregnant, and he did not even believe that I was pregnant because we had been trying for a very long time. And my joy was short-lived. Only a few weeks later, I started bleeding. I rushed to the hospital and my heart was pounding with fear. The doctors could not save the baby. I remember lying there on that hospital bed, feeling empty, broken. A part of me indeed had died. My husband, he did not even come. He only came when I told him that I wanted to return back home. He told me that everything happens for a reason and this was God's plan, and you are not even supposed to be stressed about it because you'll be fighting against God's plan. He kept on with his ring, ended up removing the wedding ring that I had placed on his finger, and he replaced it with that ring that he had gotten from Nigeria. We kept on, and I tried to move on to find my peace in prayer, but the nightmares, they started haunting me like the way that they haunt my husband. When I fall asleep, I see my husband. My husband, he will be holding a sharp sword. He will be wearing a red robe, surrounded by other men that look so scary. What surprises me is that in one hand, all these men, they will be holding a sharp sword, and then on the other hand, they will be holding the Bible. So they stretch forward the Bible, and then people will start to pray, and then when everyone would have closed their eyes and praying, that is when the men will start to laugh, hide their Bibles, and then they will start to cut down the people that will be praying, kneeling in front of them. And my husband will be part of that. The way that they laugh, it is this demonic laughter to it. I found out that I was pregnant again. I was terrified, but still I had another miscarriage. And these miscarriages, they have been going on. I have not yet told my mom because I do not want my mom to know that this is what I am going through. I do not want my mom to find out that my husband, he has become this ritualist. And as for my husband, one day when I said, can we pray about the service tomorrow, because that was our tradition each and every time. The next day when you will be preaching, we have to pray. Sometimes we used to fast, and it was like, what's the use of praying when I know that all that I have to talk about tomorrow is money? And he went to bed. I prayed until he said that it is enough, woman, for you have prayed, you have been praying all your life. God knows exactly what you are going to say. I then got up from where I was and I went into bed. He got up angry and he went and he slept on the couch. This is a man who went and stood in front of the church the very following day and talking about forgiveness and treating your wives with care and love. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admins. We received this message from our dear sister from Ghana. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Yo.